Building a GPU takes 26 weeks. Building a data center takes 3 years. Building a power plant takes 5. Connecting it to the grid takes even longer. Markets are pricing in 2027 returns on infrastructure that won't be ready until 2029. This is not a video about AI being fake. The technology is real, the demand is real, but the physical world has constraints, and markets are ignoring them. In the first 2 episodes, we examined the AI bubble and the inference economy. Today, we look at the one thing neither bulls nor bears can argue with, the laws of physics. Jensen Huang calls the demand for Blackwell GPUs insane. He's not exaggerating. NVIDIA's Blackwell B200 and GB200 chips are sold out through mid-2026. The backlog sits at 3.6 million units, just from major cloud providers. 18 months. That's the wait time for enterprises or nations building frontier AI. You can't buy your way to the front of the line. Physics doesn't care about your budget. Every GPU starts as a silicon wafer at TSMC's advanced nodes, 5 nanometer, 4 nanometer, 3 nanometer. These are the most complex manufacturing processes humans have ever built. Yield sensitivity is extreme. One speck of dust can ruin an entire wafer. This is the fundamental constraint. You cannot scale AI faster than semiconductor fabs, and packaging plants can physically produce the chips. Money can't speed up physics. Most people think the shortage is about GPUs. It's not. The real bottleneck is something called CoWoS, chip on wafer on substrate. It's TSMC's advanced packaging technology, and it's the actual constraint. Modern AI chips aren't just processors, they're multi-die packages with high-bandwidth memory stacked on top. The packaging is more complex than the chip fabrication itself, and there's only one company on Earth that can do it at scale. TSMC is doubling CoWoS capacity from 35,000 wafers per month in late 2024 to up to 130,000 by end of 2026, but NVIDIA alone has secured over 50% of that capacity, and demand is rising just as fast. 70%. That's how much of TSMC's advanced CoWoS packaging NVIDIA controls in 2025. Everyone else, AMD, Google, Amazon, fighting over the remaining 30%. Cloud providers are spending now for AI revenue that arrives later, much later. A data center takes 2 to 4 years from groundbreaking to serving its first customer. The money goes out today. The return, if it comes, arrives in 2029 or 2030. The Big Five, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Meta, and Oracle, will spend $602 billion on capital expenditure in 2026, a 36% increase over 2025. Combined 2025 through 2027, CapEx is expected to reach $1.15 trillion. 57%. That's Amazon's capital expenditure as a percentage of AWS revenue. Microsoft is at 48%, Meta 52%. These ratios look like industrial utility companies, not tech, and their CapEx now exceeds their free cash flow. The Big Five raised $108 billion in debt in 2025 alone. Projections suggest $1.5 trillion in total debt issuance to fund this build-out. They're betting the company on AI demand materializing on schedule. Not all GPUs that are ordered end up fully utilized. This is the number nobody wants to talk about. Across AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, only 13% of provisioned CPUs and 20% of memory is actually used. 35 to 45%. That's peak compute utilization, even during well-optimized AI training. During inference, it's even lower. Microsoft reports less than 10% utilization during memory-bound phases of LLM serving. Companies are defensive over ordering. Startups hoard compute just in case. Reserved capacity sits idle. The gap between provisioned and requested resources widened from 37% in 2022 to 43% in 2023. It's getting worse, not better. This mirrors historical infrastructure bubbles where orders looked real until utilization lagged. Telecom in 2000, fiber in 1999. The orders were genuine, the usage wasn't. Every data center needs electricity, a lot of it. A single hyperscale AI facility can draw 300 to 1,000 megawatts. That's a small city, and connecting to the grid takes 1 to 3 years of permits, approvals, and construction. The International Energy Agency projects data center electricity consumption will more than double, from 460 terawatt-hours in 2024 to over 1,000 by 2030. That's more electricity than Japan uses in a year, and the grid isn't ready. The US AI sector alone needs at least 50 gigawatts of electrical capacity by 2028. For context, that's roughly the output of 50 nuclear power plants. Grid infrastructure takes years to build. Transmission lines face years of permitting. This is not a problem money solves quickly. Data center developers prioritize speed of electricity access over cost. They'll pay any price, but the grid physically cannot deliver what doesn't exist yet. Markets price AI as now to immediately productive. The reality is now to infrastructure, to optimization, to maybe profits, and each step takes years. TSMC's Arizona fab, Phase 1 took 4 years. Phase 2 won't produce 3nm chips until 2027. Phase 3 is targeting 2028. A new fab costs $12 billion and takes years before a single wafer ships. This timing mismatch is where disappointment forms, not because AI fails, but because it arrives slower than the stock price assumes. Corrections don't require failure, they only require delay. So, who benefits from a physically constrained AI build-out, and who gets squeezed? The winners are the bottleneck owners. NVIDIA, because demand exceeds supply. TSMC, because they're the only advanced packager at scale. ASML, because every new fab needs their lithography machines. And power infrastructure providers, because the grid needs massive upgrades. The squeezed? Cloud providers eating compressed margins, AI SaaS companies paying escalating inference costs, and businesses paying usage-based pricing that rises with demand. AI isn't fake. Demand isn't infinite. Infrastructure has limits, and margins matter more than narratives. In Episode 1, we asked if the price is right. In Episode 2, we followed the money into inference economics. Today, we showed that even if the economics work, physics has a vote. The price may be wrong, the business models are upside down, and the infrastructure can't scale as fast as Wall Street assumes. The lesson from every infrastructure boom is the same. Don't bet on the narrative, bet on the bottleneck. The companies that own the physical constraints always win, because physics doesn't negotiate.